Good afternoon, everybody. It's 1 o'clock, Friday, May the 22nd, and welcome to EPTV, which is now past the 1,000 subscriber mark, by the way. So you can join completely free of charge for all sorts of good horsey content as we continue some more great top class lockdown conversation with two legends of the game. We welcome from Upper Lambourne, Nicky Henderson and Jamie Osborne. Gentlemen, good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, Mike. Great, thank you. And you?
Yeah, great. We're all being buoyed up by Jamie's videos these past few weeks. Jamie, what a lot of fun. Fair play to you.
Did you just describe me as a legend of the game, Mike?
What do you describe? You say you're an overrated jockey and an underrated trainer. They're your own words, Jamie. So go on, take them.
Yeah, well, I do believe that. Yeah. I blagged my way through a riding career, and I'm hugely, I'm not recognised as a trainer with sufficient, but not sufficient recognition yet, not sufficient success. Unlike the man sitting the other side of the village right now.
Yeah, well, he wasn't a bad pilot. Nicky used him to great.
No, he wasn't great. He wasn't great.
I wasn't pretending to be great. Our young man Osborne joined me. I don't know when it was, what year it was. I don't know how old you were.
1985, Governor.
85. See you then's period.
Just at the end of him.
Yeah. This Mr. J. Osborne claiming 7 appeared at Windsor House, and it took Corky a few years to knock a few sort of northern edges off him, but we got there in the end. You're a bloody good rider. He always was, actually. I've got to say that.
Yeah, I was the worst stable lad you ever had, though.
That's true.
Really honest.
That's true, but you could ride.
Thankfully, yeah. I worked quite hard at being a bad stable lad, so I didn't get given extra jobs.
Well, and you teamed up to great effect at the festival. I remember those days very well.
Yeah.
Revenge man.
Yeah, he wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of Flown.
Can you remember the other one?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you remember the other one? I think there were 3 festival winners. Hang on. I've got to look at it. Yeah, can you remember the other one, Governor?
The moment ridden Travado, but he didn't win. Who was the third? No, go on.
Hurdle.
Travado in the Arkle.
Travado. What did you get? Say Travado? Yeah. Right.
Yes, and do you remember we just got pipped in the champion chase the following year by that dreadful Viking flagship.
Yeah, they had some great tussles, didn't they?
Yeah. Anyhow, there we go.
Who would have thought that fast forward, 30 years we'll be doing this, chatting during a lockdown while there's a pandemic going on. And...
We're quite pleased to still be here, you know.
I was frightened of him in those days.
Jamie, the strange thing about your ex-governor is that he never seems to change. I don't know what there is in the waters at Seven Barrows, but anyway, I'd like.
Well, he's like Peter Pan, isn't he? Really. Yeah. I mean, he told me the other day that he was the oldest ever champion national hunt trainer. I said, "Oh, congratulations! That's obviously this year." And he said, "No, it was about 6 years ago. He was still the oldest."
He keeps breaking his own record.
Yeah.
Well, apparently we did. Yeah, I was talking to somebody, and I said, I wonder who was the oldest ever national hunt trainer. And I said, well, we'll look it up and see if you've beaten a record. And he came back and said, yeah, you have beaten a record. It's your
own. So, Nicky, how have you been coping with lockdown? I know there's no jump racing, pencil or inked in until July. Most of the horses have gone home. What about the staff?
Well, there's the problem, really. And I think that's probably the most important part of it. The horses are fine. They're in the field. They look fantastic. They're actually doing too well. They've had great grass and great weather. But I feel sorry for all the team because we are lucky that it's happened at this time of the year from a weather point of view. If we were all locked up in the middle of the winter when, it's long, dark days and cold and horrible, it really would be twice as bad as it is. The fact that you've got some nice weather and, most of our staff are here. So sadly, they're having to spend their summer holidays at it's 7 Barrows isn't exactly Ibiza, I know, but that's all. They are locked in. No, not locked in here, but unless they've got homes they can go back to, quite a lot of them are here with, we're furloughed, which is. But I am going to have to get some horses in quite soon because they're getting too fat. So we've got quite a few of them actually going to start again next week because, to be fair, they're just getting bored. And we all meet on various walks up and down the gallops every day. The dog's legs are getting shorter, so are mine. Corky he walked for 1 million miles around here yesterday. And he's still going, he's in great form. Everybody's fine, but just bored really more than anything else.
Mm. Well, you see that what's been going on over at Jamie's at Old Malt House Stables has been something quite incredible. I mean,
well, we have been watching quite closely actually, because we've had a little involvement here and there. He mentioned some 2-year-olds, but he didn't really tell me which ones they were when I came to watch them work. Okay, to spy. We've been lending him a bit of ground, which has been good fun. That's great. But I hope when the time comes, he's going to tell me which one was which.
Jamie.
Well, are we asking? Oh, right. Okay. Well, I would say, Governor, you don't want to be starting backing 2-year-olds at this time of year. when these races start, I can imagine the only ones that are going to be running are the ones that people think have a chance of being Royal Ascot winners. And however hard a 2-year-old maiden is to win at the beginning of June, normally I think it's going to be a lot harder to do this year.
Are they looking all right, Jamie, the youngsters?
Yeah, I have a handful. Look, I had some ready. I mean, I took a view through the winter that I had quite a few, and I had some sharp looking ones, some precociously bred ones. And I took a view that I was going to hit the traps running, and I was going to win the Brocklesby and every maiden in April. So some of my 2-year-olds, I mean, they could be well over the top by now.
It's an extraordinary set of circumstances. By the way, just those people that are watching us right now, please bring your questions to us, because we'd love to hear from you via Facebook or YouTube. Get in touch and ask Nicky and Jamie.
Well, there is actually someone out there, Mike, is there?
Well, one hopes so, Jamie. I mean, I tell you what, Julia Bennett is wondering whether you're missing her while she's being furloughed, Jamie. How about that?
Well, the government, thankfully, are paying her wages, so she's okay.
Fantastic. But Nicky, I was just thinking, we're almost into June, and normally at this time of the year, you're getting one ready for either the Queen Alexandra or the Ascot Stakes for the big one. You've had a bit of success on the flat over the years.
Well, we enjoy having a few on the flat because it sort of keeps, there's always a team, continuously throughout the year. Normally we'd have had Doncaster sales, we'd have bought quite a few stores by now, and we'd be breaking them, and then we'd be waiting for the next bout of sales coming up, which obviously I'm not going to, but the breaking team would normally be busy, so we always have a team on here. So we have got some horses to go. We've got 2 for the flat, but Jamie and I, we've been working together actually. He's been working his 2-year-olds, not with my 2-year-olds, but he has. We were planning to have a gallop this morning actually with Badana Blue, who I think we'll probably have a look at the Ascot Stakes, is the plan. She'll probably be in the Cigaro on the 6th of June, but we'll just see what's in that. Otherwise, she'd carry top weight in the Ascot Stakes.
Because she's rated 100.
Because she's rated 100. And as I say, I think they could keep that field size limit down to 12. Would be a very handy place to be.
You got it. I knew you'd have something up your sleeve. I mean, at least the ground would be ideal for her, wouldn't it? The way things are
going.
Well,
that's it. Fortunately, she hasn't run since the Christmas hurdle, because we were going to go to Cheltenham, but it's pointless running her in soft ground. So we were waiting for various other opportunities later in the year. Didn't run her in the Champion Hurdle because it was soft. But to be fair, we ran 4 anyway. And left her at home because it seemed pointless in that ground, thinking there'd be more opportunities. Aintree, Ayr, Punchestown, and then of course this all happened, and here we are. So she hasn't run since Christmas, but I don't think that would worry. She has been working, and she loves fast ground. So I mean, it's wonderful weather at the moment. Let's hope Ascot will be like that. It won't be the same, will it? But we'll toddle along and hopefully be there.
And I was going to say, Jamie, not great for your superstar. One of my favourites, Raising Sand, of course, because he loves a bit of giving the ground, doesn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, Mike, with plenty of things can change. I wouldn't say we don't know what's going to happen at Ascot yet, let alone the ground. I think you're being a bit presumptuous here. You know, we could have a storm
People might be
coming.
watching this down the line. I'm trying to look clever, Jamie, you know.
No, and we've got, you know, I'd like to run Mekong in the Gold Cup as well. You know, and a little bit of juice would help him. I think, look, if we get any 2-year-olds there, I think they would cope with a bit of juice. Yeah, so a few showers before Ascot week I wouldn't complain about that.
Good man. We've got our first question, gents. Stephen Barlow has got in touch via Facebook. Nicky, he says, will Shishkin be targeted at the Arkle? And he also asks, what do you think Grand Roy might go on to achieve?
Well, Shishkin, I think we're definitely thinking novice chasing road next season. He'd won a point-to-point. We're strong on the 2-mile hurdlers, possibly, you know, with Epiton. I mean, you can't move him around because of that, but it's worth bearing in mind. Whereas, you know, you'd hope he'd be a genuine Arkle contender. He's a lovely big horse. He's you know, it's like when Altior was doing the same thing, and one had to think about it a bit. But I would think he'd almost certainly go novice chasing. That's our minds at the moment. And Joe Donnelly, we've discussed it briefly, but he says he leaves it to me, which sort of, I don't say doesn't, you know, I like sort of throwing these things around, but most likely novice chasing. Grand Roi, well, he has to go to the sales. He belongs to A Million in Mind, and the rules of the syndicate, they sell at the end of every season. He would have been at Doncaster in May. So Goffs have moved that sale now to the end of July. So he will be going to the sales. So there's not much point in me wondering what I'm going to do with him, because I'd very much like him to finish up back here. We didn't find out as much as I would like to have done last year. He looked very good on what he did. And then we were getting all ready to go to Aintree. And there we were going to find out what he was. He hadn't beaten anything. So it's just hard to tell how good he actually was going to be. So nobody knows. So he'll go to the sales. I hope he'll finish up back here, because he's he's just a very likable, not over big horse, but very athletic.
And Nicky, I suppose, with any of the stars still at 7 Barrows at the moment? Obviously, JP's all be back. I mean, for example, where's Altior right now? Is he?
He's with most of ours. There are about 3 studs we use in the locality. He's out with all of them. And as I said, he's out with Shishkins and all of them. The field's full of them, and they look absolutely fantastic. As I was saying, sometimes we had to bring a couple in this week. They just were too big, and we'll be doing the same next week. They're going to have to come in and get moving, otherwise they'll explode. And it's possible, you know, they're athletes, and they don't need to be. They've had, you know, unusually for this time of year, some of them have been out 6-7 weeks already. So I mean, I think 8 weeks is massive for a horse to be out in a field. So we're going to have to start earlier. It won't mean they'll be on a race course any quicker. It probably might do, you know, depending on what sort of weather we get in the autumn. But they're having a lovely time. They're all JPs are all back at Martinstown in Ireland, and I gather they're all doing great. But we can't go and see them, which is a pity. I was hoping to a week ago, but they've got a 14-day isolation, and to go and spend 14 days in isolation to look at some horses in the field is a bit sort of a pilgrimage, to be honest with you. But I gather they're all doing very, very well, and they're all happy with them, and all of the others scattered all over the country. So quite a few of them I haven't been able to go and see, but they're doing really well.
Great. I bet you're getting lots of pictures and videos being sent.
Yes.
And that sort of stuff.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, great. YouTube watcher Charlie Spears has been in touch, Jamie. So what is your best 2-year-old, he asks directly.
Charlie Spears, would that by any chance be young Charlie Spears, whose father has a 10% share in 10 2-year-olds with me this year? Charlie, do you really want me to tell them? What is my best 2-year-old? Well, the best 2-year-old probably isn't going to be running in the week of resumption. And I think that we've got some lovely horses to come for the second half of the year. But of the early ones, there's a filly called The Chain. There's a colt called Balavad. There's a colt called Hot Scoop. They should all run in week 1, and they're up to standard of normal maiden winners at this time of year. What we don't know is whether being a normal standard of a normal maiden winner in June is going to be sufficient this June.
Yeah, it's also different, isn't it? Facebook, Maggie Walton Swan says, should the 2-year-old races at Ascot go ahead? Which is back to something that was being discussed between us before we came on. Yeah, what's your thoughts about that, Jamie? Because the BHA has been bending over backwards, haven't they, to try and get a program for the youngsters?
I don't see why not. It could be. I don't know how Aidan's going to get around the system, but I'm sure he'll find a way. But it could be that the fields are very similar animals to the ones that would have been there anyhow. I know there was some talk about removing the group status. Well, I think that's a bit hasty. I mean, in France for years, they were running a 2-year-old listed race for unraced horses. So I don't get the logic really behind doing that. Of course, they should be run. Mike, I know I haven't read your article, but apparently you made a very good case for them not being there. But personally, I think what we have to accept through this whole scenario is compromise. Nobody is expecting that this year is going to be like any other that we've seen before. And if one of the compromises is that we've got less experienced animals coming for the 2-year-old races at Ascot, well, so be it. Everybody's in the same boat. This, as I say, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't continue. It's an interesting dimension, isn't it? That there'll be nothing that's run more than once. Trainers have been doing what trainers do for the last few weeks to try and ready some of these animals with this in mind. So yeah, let's chuck them in there and have a go. I mean, just because it's not perfect and it's different, why abandon it? Let's get on and do it.
Fair enough. I mean, I think we can't wait for to get some action back again. Actually, Nicky, on that, I mean, I haven't really heard much from you the last couple of months, sadly, but I mean, obviously crowned champion trainer again, which is great for the 3rd time in 4 years. Can you believe that? Frustrating for you fellas, though, in your code, that the season missed out with a national, Aintree, Punchestown, Ayr, etc., etc.
Yeah, it was, because they're always. I mean, having said that, we were very lucky to get Cheltenham in, and it squeaked in by the skin of its teeth, to be fair, because it was only the Tuesday afterwards that the whole thing was called off. And there was no doubt that there was concern over Cheltenham, and I'm sure they were right to race. But by the Friday there were genuine concerns. I think there were even the numbers are down. People were starting to get a bit nervous about the whole situation. So to be fair, we were pretty lucky to get that far through the season. It was a pity we couldn't go on, because a lot of those horses would have, say, we love Aintree, we've got Aintree, Sandown that last day is always fun, and then Punchestown, which we love. And, missing all those sort of, Cheltenham's the pressure one, the others tend to be rather more fun, and you go there with a bit of, you go to enjoy it, sort of thing, and it's really good racing, and everybody has a good. It's just good times, and missing those was bad luck. But I mean, you know, this is far more relevant to the flat now. It was important to get flat racing going as soon as it could, because, you know, we had 75% of our season. Okay, we were lucky enough to be in front at the time at the end of it, but I think we had a fair amount to run. So I thought we were going to win the Grand National this year, actually, but I didn't. I managed to get one round in the virtual race. Pretty good record.
Can I ask a question, Mike?
Far away, Jamie.
Governor, do you think it's fair that you were crowned champion trainer? I mean, do you not have any consideration for poor old Paul Nicholls, who had saved his team for Liverpool, apparently?
Well, I think we might have had a few there as well. I was very confident about the Grand National. Thought you'd have something horrible like that.
I mean, was there any objection to you becoming champion trainer from anyone?
Well, I don't think. I mean, listen, it's sad it finished up that way, but I'll take it. Thank you very much all the same.
Yeah, Jamie, you're right. It wasn't exactly like Liverpool, was it? You know, 28.
No, I mean, he wasn't well clear. You know,
28 quid clear. I think.
I don't think Ditchett was too pleased about it, to be honest.
Well, he very graciously sent me the bit that goes with it, so he can spend 9 months here anyway.
Oh, well, listen, I mean, you and Paul are great between the two of you. You're gracious, so gracious in victory and defeat. We've got an email from Barbara Cox in Newbury, who thanks Equine Productions for these lockdown interviews and programs. Thanks for that, Barbara. She says to you, Nicky, which racecourse did you have your most memorable win and why?
I think the most memorable day had to be Sprinter's second champion chase, when he came back after with 2 years missing from his first one. In his heyday, and the first time round when he won the Arkle and then the champion chase, he was actually then as near as unbeatable as you can get. Things then went wrong, and he pulled up the next year. Everybody, not everybody, but there was pressure to retire him. And he came back and won the Schlur. That was a good day. But to be fair, when you won the champion chase that day, I think even most people who were there at Cheltenham said they haven't seen scenes like it, to be fair. And he was a wonderful horse in that he had such charisma that everybody they loved him. It was a very special day.
Yeah, it was. I remember I was in tears when he was walking back down the chute. It was fantastic. Jamie, what about you? I mean, I you know, Group 1 winning trainer and all that sort of stuff, and that near miss in the States with Toast of New York. I'm suggesting that wouldn't be your best day out of the races, but yet nonetheless, it was quite a good one.
Yeah, not quite as lucrative as the last international foray when Mekong was second in Saudi Arabia and won $500,000 for finishing second. It's not a bad consolation prize. No, they're great. The international, I mean, when you get a horse good enough to travel, I mean, it's great fun, and it can be pretty profitable if you get it right.
So with the Mekong one, was that almost outshone?
Oh, sorry, was there another question attached?
No, this is my question. This is Mike Cattermole from his office in Buckinghamshire asking you, what was your most satisfying day at the races from your point of view, Jamie?
Oh God, I needed a heads up on that one. Sorry, I wasn't concentrating.
Remittance man.
That was a steering job. You've done such a wonderful job training it. I only had to point it, you know. I would say the saddest. I tell you what, when Geordieland was around, he wasn't an easy horse to train, and we had some great days with him when he won the Yorkshire Cup and the Henry V or IV and whatever, a couple of near misses in the Ascot Gold Cup. He was tough to train, but a very talented horse, and that was quite rewarding when he was around. And any of those Ascot handicaps that you get right. So, you know, the horse that won the Britannia, the horse that won the Hunt Cup, won the Buckingham Palace. When you get those right, because they are impossible races to win, you have to plan them from so far out. To have any chance whatsoever, they're very satisfying.
Field of Dreams, Raising Sand, all that sort of stuff. Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't won at the festival.
Yeah.
He hasn't won at Ascot. He's been placed a couple of times, but you know, he's better in the autumn with a bit of juice in the ground. But yeah. What was the horse that won the Britannia? See, I forget them the minute they've gone. What was it called?
Was it owned by Michael Buckley?
It was.
Yeah.
It went to Hong Kong.
And did very well. Yeah, sold well, I'm sure.
What was
I can't remember his name either.
That's awful. I can't remember his name.
Well, listen, Kerry Peter Downs, knowing how much of a master you are at, you know, steering your horses for the valuable pots abroad, Jamie, he's saying that it said that will travel restrictions in place affect your campaigns? Well, I guess they will. And are there any possible British races worth exploring? If so, which ones would take your eye, he's saying?
Well, for which horse? Any of them?
I guess for maybe Mekong would be the top of that list, wouldn't it?
Well, the English programme, we're not really entirely sure what it is yet. At the moment, unless I've missed something today, we only have the first 8 days published, and we have a fair idea of what's going to be at Ascot. Going forward, I should imagine that the English programme will get back to something like normality. And obviously, yeah, there aren't many gaps in that. And, you know, we just try and place the horses where they can win and where we can potentially land something. It would be nice to think that by this time next year or by Christmas, a bit of travel is on the agenda again, because obviously I like to have a team in the Middle East for the winter. Maidan has been very good to us, and obviously Saudi would very much be on the agenda again. If we end up getting another taste of New York, fluking one of those, then, you know, we can always go to the States. And obviously Europe is always there for us under normal circumstances. But right now, trying to, you know, making those plans, I think, would be a little bit premature.
I think you're probably right. By the way, it's defrocked, wasn't it? That was
defrocked. Thank you. Yes.
Now, I've got Terry and Devon. Go on, Nicky. Go on.
Good name,
isn't it? It's fabulous, isn't it? That appeals to us. And funnily enough, I think it might appeal to Terry and Devon actually, because he's given us a bit of a cheeky question for you, Jamie. He says you're a great user of social media. Is that essential for any trainer these days? And this is telling, this bit. He says, and who is the stable lass trying to teach Irish dancing to others that I saw on Twitter?
She's wonderful. That's Bridie. I mean, she's she doesn't say boo to a goose. And I walked into the barn one morning with an idea that we should do a sort of skit of river dance. So my idea was that it would be a sort of comical river dance. And she piped up that she'd done a little bit of Irish dancing as a child. So I said, go on then, you know. Well, I mean, it was like Mrs. Flatley. I mean, she was unbelievable. So my idea to do a river dance skit actually turned into, it was better than river dance, you know. Well, in my mind it was. She's amazing. But we've found a lot of talents, hidden talents amongst the team during all this. And going back to the original question, is it essential? No, I don't think it is essential. And to be perfectly honest, we've been using social media during lockdown for no other reason than our own amusement, if you like. You know, the team, you know, we've furloughed very few people. The squad has been intact. I'm expecting 30 people to turn up for work every day, with no semblance of having their work tested. You know, we're all competitive people. And, you know, one of the motivations for the team to turn up every day is to prepare the horses, and then we send them to the races, their work gets tested, and we come back and do it all over again. So, you know, there was a distinct possibility that things were going to get very dull around the yard. So that was initially the motivation. I did not expect that my little productions would have gathered the momentum that they have done. And I mean, hopefully people have enjoyed watching them as much as we have enjoyed making them. But I think it's going to have to come to an end soon, Mike.
Well, strangely enough, Horace on Facebook says, how do you get any work done making all those videos? You could lose staff to the West End. Well, I guess not right now, Horace, but you could down the line. And Florence on email asks you, Nicky, what is the one piece of advice you would give to any new trainer in the sport?
Looking forward to hearing this one.
It could be don't. No, I think even Jamie would agree. You need to surround yourself by a lot of very good people, apart from some very good horses. But the people around you are the most important things in the world. You can't do it on your own. You've got to have a really good team, A, owners, B, staff, C, horses. But just surround yourself with a good, solid bunch of good people. And I say horses are essential. Obviously, you can't go without them. But it's tough. But if you get the breaks, it's great.
Yeah, and you've always mentioned that. I mean, great to see it here that Corky's floating around there as well. Keeping an eye on you, Nicky. Fantastic. Yeah, Rosemary on Facebook, Jamie says, please pass on my thanks to Jamie's team videos, keeping up our spirits. Absolutely fantastic. Guys, just before we go, because amazingly, we've been on for half an hour, and I could carry on chatting to both of you for ages, but you probably want to go have a nice liquid lunch now, but or maybe you've started already. I don't know, who knows? But what would we like to see in the next month then, gents, happening as we come towards the end of May of 2020 during this extraordinary time? What do you think, Nicky?
Well, I mean, first of all, just to get going again from the flat point of view, get this. Well, I think once it gets going, the rhythm will get going again. It's going to feel very weird. Even, I mean, behind closed doors is going to. It's never going to have the same feeling to it, but we'll watch it. I mean, it's amazing what we're watching every day. I'm watching French racing. Some of it's been fantastic. At race courses I've never heard of. You watch it because that's all there is to. That's where racing is, and it's fascinating what you see. I just hope it gets back into its rhythm again, and we can all start to move around. I mean, at the moment, it is very frustrating not to be able to go to Scotland or Ireland, let alone France or anywhere else. So I'm not saying you can't, but you've got to go into your quarantine. We've got to get the whole thing. I mean, the economics are going to be scary, and I fear they're going to be scary for some time ahead, as far as the country's concerned, and probably racing as well. Get the flat season going, get them all up and running, and then, summer jumping will break in July, and then hopefully, by the time we get round to when, our season takes off, we just hope and pray this is all behind us. Like anybody else will, the sooner we can break out and get life back to normality and go and see people. I mean, I miss that more than anything. We do a lot of talking, but, you miss seeing your mates and everybody and being at the races and generally, life's meant to be a bit of fun, and it's not much fun doing this. But like all our guys here, they've been brilliant and very patient, and it's a long, boring summer. They're not going to have a great holiday, and we're going to have to go straight back into another long season. But look, let's get the thing going. I think they're doing a good job, and if it can start next week, we hope 1st of June. Let's go.
Yeah, and Jamie, you must be raring to go now.
Yeah, we're ready. So I mean, what's important really within the next month is that, the R number keeps reducing. We don't want to have any false starts here. And when we get going, we can prove that we can do it in a very safe manner. And then we can gradually get back to normal. And I wish people would just stop putting obstacles in the way and complaining that this isn't fair, that isn't fair. We've all got to accept compromise, and I think we're all going to have to accept compromise for some time. And we are better off to have compromised racing going in action, give our businesses a chance to recover a little bit. We're better off having that than having no racing at all. And so, we've got to prove that we can do it in a really safe manner, and it can provide entertainment for people that are locked down, and show racing in a great light. That's important.
Fantastic. Well said, Jamie and Nicky too. Been great chatting to you guys. Really, real pleasure. And we wish you well. come June the 1st and beyond. Maybe see you at Ascot on the television at least. Your runners and winners, hopefully. But yeah, keep up the good work, both of you. Really appreciate your time, and we'll see you, we hope, sooner rather than later in the flesh, eh?
Thank you, Mike.
All the best. Cheers, Jamie. Cheers, Nicky.
Right.
And thanks for
Keep up.
watching. Thanks for watching EPTV. Ladies and gentlemen, see you soon.